Alright, so hear me, Blake is now dealing with a problem, and I know what you're thinking. This is another video about that same old drama, right? But hear me out because the story just made a new shift, and believe, music me, you need to see the proof. New legal documents have just surfaced, including text messages, depositions, expert witnesses, and financial records. The full evidence is showing a very different picture, music, than the one Blake's team has been trying to present the world. She's been saying this whole time that Justin Baldoni and his team ran some type of hidden operation to ruin her reputation. The Mean Girl label spreading around the internet was all false, all part of some conspiracy against her. But that's not what the evidence reveals, and I don't think Blake is handling it well. In fact, from everything I'm seeing, she's completely furious because the evidence isn't backing her story.
Evidence of Lively's pre-existing reputation is not being offered for the truth that she's a mean girl bully, difficult to work with, or tone deaf, but to establish Lively's reputation prior to the alleged smear campaign to show that defendants' alleged conduct did not cause further harm to her existing reputation.
Back in 2007, Blake Lively portrayed Serena van der Woodsen on Gossip Girl, and on screen, her character had this incredible best friend, Blair, played by Leighton Meester. But here's what nobody realized back then. The moment those cameras quit rolling, Blake and Leighton stopped being friendly, like not even remotely close. The former showrunner, Joshua Safran, actually came out and said they ignored each other. Well, it wasn't only that they weren't friends. The details that came out later, that's where it gets really messy. You probably recall this clip floating around the internet. There's this interview where somebody asked Blake about a possible Gossip Girl spinoff. The rumors were that the show could feature a pet monkey, and Blake, she stared right at Leighton Meester and said, "Well, I have a couple of them."
The promise was no pet monkey. Chuck has a matching pet monkey with coordinating outfits, and I was like, I would love to be part of the show, but I can't act with a monkey. And then I got a few of them. I'm just kidding.
Got a few of them.
Come on, it was a joke.
Think about that for a moment. She openly called her co-star a monkey in front of everybody, and when people started feeling uneasy, she tried to cover it up with, "Come on, it was a joke." Lord have mercy. And you know what? That's truly the oldest trick in the book. Say something cruel, then hide behind the joke excuse when you get confronted. It works every time if you manage to get away with it enough. But it gets worse because there's another clip that's even more unsettling.
Who else didn't want to act in a cage?
Well,
someone started a cage.
Yeah.
Blake made this remark about people who begin in cages. Now, context matters here. Leighton Meester's mother was actually imprisoned when Leighton was born, and Leighton spent the early part of her life living in a halfway house. So when Blake made that cages comment, she wasn't just being careless. She was digging into a co-star's family trauma and turning it into a punchline. And if you think that was the worst of it, wait, because there's footage of Blake directing Leighton on the red carpet, like literally grabbing her and repositioning her, pulling her around frames to get the shot she wanted. It looked less like a friendly photo op and more like a power display, like she was marking her territory, showing everyone who was in control.
Controlling Leighton on red carpet, like literally grabbing her and repositioning her, dragging her around frames to get the shot she wanted.
So, Blake is married to Ryan Reynolds now. She's got her lifestyle companies, her film career, everything's looking great on paper. But the mask slips once again in 2016, and this time, music, it's captured on camera for everybody to witness.
To never, ever, ever be complacent, because I think that that's one of the most tragic things that I could ever.
This video is wild because it shows you exactly how Blake behaves. She uses sarcasm like a tool, and she treats people like they're nothing. Like working professionals don't deserve simple respect if they're not famous enough or valuable enough in her eyes. And here's the thing. It's not like she has grown from it or changed herself, because in 2024, at the London premiere of It Ends With Us, there's footage of Blake brushing off a fan who tried to hand her a friendship bracelet.
I'm one of 5 kids. My husband's one of 4, so, we are officially breeders. You can go on our website and we will give you some of our children.
When you put all these moments together, you start to notice a clear pattern. It paints a picture of who she really is. This is not some invented narrative. It is simply an observation built from a long list of public moments that people have watched for years. Now, here's where the story takes an even stranger turn because in early 2024, something happened that at first looked completely separate from this legal battle, but it may connect more than people realize. Princess Catherine suddenly stepped away from public life, and when someone that recognizable disappears, the world pays attention. People became concerned. There was endless speculation, worry, and countless theories spreading everywhere. Then the royal family released a family photograph to calm the public and reassure everyone that things were all right. But almost immediately, people noticed signs that the photo had been edited. That discovery sent the internet into chaos as fans tried to understand what was really happening. Soon after, the truth was revealed. Princess Catherine had cancer. She was receiving chemotherapy and had chosen privacy to protect her children and handle the diagnosis away from public view. It was heartbreaking news, and many people around the world responded with sympathy and support. But while that was happening, Blake Lively used the moment in a way that shocked many people. Her company, Betty Buzz, shared an Instagram post that appeared to mock Catherine's photo editing scandal. During a serious personal crisis, Blake seemed to turn the moment into brand promotion. Think about that for a second. While the world was sending prayers, support, and kindness to Catherine and her family, Blake was promoting products and drawing attention to her business. That decision became part of the discussion during the New York pre-trial hearing. Justin Baldoni's lawyers brought up what many called Kategate. They argued it showed a history of behavior that challenges Blake's claims about others destroying her reputation, because long before this case, those public moments were already shaping how people saw her.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. That's so sweet. I'm gonna put it here because it doesn't go with my outfit, but I will wear it.
That's the key piece in all this. She wants everybody to believe that the backlash started with Justin's alleged smear campaign, but her own behavior shows that the mean girl image came from her own decisions, not from anyone else. And what's crazy is that this keeps unfolding. Every time people think they've seen the worst part of it, another document, another clip, music, another deposition adds one more layer to the story. It's like watching a house of cards slowly breaking apart, but instead of crashing down, it just keeps stretching wider and exposing new details.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
Now, let's talk about the movie because this is where everything truly went off the rails, and honestly, this is the part that made me the most upset because what happened with It Ends With Us feels almost unforgivable when you really break it down. Court documents describe Blake's behavior as fueled by overwhelming ambition and a strong need for control. That's legal language for saying she basically tried to take charge of everything, but it got worse because she turned the entire press tour into a promotion for herself. She kept mentioning Ryan Reynolds, music, movie Deadpool, and Wolverine. She pushed her hair care brand. She advertised Betty Buzz and this alcohol brand called Betty Booze. And okay, let that sit for a second. You're doing press for a specific movie and you're talking about alcohol.
Yes.
When I saw you earlier, you said, "Oh, let me get a shot." And I thought you meant of alcohol, but you meant a photograph. So guess what? Time to put up.
And what are we drinking?
Aviation American Gin, who's owned by a very, very sexy man, who also happens to be my...
So, after the press tour disaster, Blake's reputation was taking a major hit. She needed someone to place the blame on, and that's when her legal team reportedly looked at the Johnny Depp playbook. If you remember that whole chaotic trial between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, you know how that strategy plays out. You go to court, claim you're the true victim, accuse others of running some hidden smear campaign, and demand millions in damages. Blake filed a lawsuit basically accusing Justin Baldoni and his PR team of organizing online hate against her. She texted a crisis PR expert named Melissa Nathan and said, "We can bury anyone." But here's the thing, the people who were upset with Blake, they were ordinary people who saw her Kategate post and felt it was wrong for an actress to mock someone. They were ordinary people who watched her treat the press tour like a marketing opportunity.
He said, Ms. Lively has a track record of brands that have not succeeded. She is seeking pie-in-the-sky damages.
The counter-investigation into this entire situation revealed that Blake and Ryan Reynolds have reportedly spent nearly $50 million on legal fees and reputation management. They've hired teams of high-priced lawyers. They've got crisis consultants on standby, and there are fairly strong signs they may have used bot farms to flood the internet with positive comments about Blake and negative ones about Justin.
Fans slam Blake Lively for bullying Kate Middleton as she pokes fun at Photoshop fail. Now, this is the key word. It says it in the headline. Blake Lively.
Think about that number. $50 million to take down one director who only wanted to make a strong movie. Experts who study this kind of behavior are calling music it evidence of what looks like an obsession. They can't accept that they might be wrong, so they keep pouring money into the hole, making music it deeper and deeper. But here's the thing, spending that amount of money hasn't worked. Her public image keeps getting worse. The more she pushes back, the worse it appears.
These people will deliver what she wants to hear because they're getting a check from her legal.
So, all of this eventually ended up inside an actual courtroom. There was this pre-trial conference in New York that lasted 3 hours. The judge was overseeing it, and from everything that came out of that hearing, Blake Lively's legal team probably wishes they had never stepped in there. The hearing revealed this really fascinating clash of the expert witnesses. Blake's team wants to bring in specialists to argue that all those millions of mean girl mentions online were artificially created. They want to persuade the court that the hate was fake, pushed by Justin's side. Justin Baldoni's team answered strongly. They brought in an AI marketing expert, someone who can actually explain how bot farms operate, how AI-generated traffic gets produced and spread. Because this whole thing seems pretty clear. If anyone's using fake internet traffic to shape the story, it's probably Blake. She's the one who spent $50 million on this battle. The judge hasn't made final decisions on everything yet, so this is still ongoing. But the sides are clearly set. Blake is trying to prove a conspiracy. Justin is trying to prove that the backlash was genuine and that Blake is the one running this campaign.
What you may be asked to join Baldoni's legal team because his lawyers have made similar arguments saying that Blake Lively has a poor track record of running businesses and that they fail because really people don't.
Now, Blake Lively is asking for $161 million in damages from Justin Baldoni. $161 million. Let that figure sit for a second. That is more money than most people will ever see in 10 lifetimes, music, let alone in one lawsuit. And when you start breaking down what that number is supposed to cover, that is where things get far more interesting. And by interesting, I mean completely disconnected from reality. Her team claims she lost somewhere between $132 and $142 million in future acting income. That is the biggest piece of the demand. They are projecting that over the next 5 years, Blake was basically expected to be swimming in cash, around 6 times her historical average, according to them. Like, she was suddenly going to become one of the busiest actresses in Hollywood. But here is the funny part. Her own accountant testified about what she has actually earned. Want the number? $21 million. That is what she made across 4 films over 8 years. So when you are claiming $142 million in future income, but your own records show you average around $2.5 million per film, the math simply does not work. Justin Baldoni's lawyer called it pie-in-the-sky math, which honestly feels like the perfect description. She is asking for money that likely was never going to exist. Then there is the $35 million she says she lost for a sequel that may or may not have happened. This is for It Ends With Us 2, which apparently could have been made one day, maybe, possibly, but there is no contract guaranteeing it. There is no deal finalized. It is pure speculation. Justin's team called it exactly that, highly speculative. You cannot sue someone over money you might have earned from a movie that was never officially confirmed. But it gets stranger. Actually, it gets worse. She is also blaming Justin for hurting her hair care brand, claiming $49 million in losses, and her Betty Buzz drinks, claiming another $22 million in losses. She says his smear campaign damaged her business ventures. Except her own financial records tell another story. Betty Buzz was already struggling. The company was pivoting toward alcohol because the mixer brand was not selling. That is not Justin's fault. That is just ordinary bad business. And her hair care line collapsed because she promoted it during the domestic violence press tour. She pushed away the exact audience who may have supported her. That is not a smear campaign. That is simply consequences. And here may be the messiest piece of this entire financial music saga. Blake was actually entitled to a bonus worth more than $30 million for the movie. But she refused to sign her final loan-out agreement. Apparently, there was some workplace dispute involved, and she refused to sign. So she gave up that money herself, $30 million that was already hers, money she essentially threw away because she could not work within the system. And now she is in court asking Justin to pay her back for money she gave up because of pride. So when you add all of this together, future income that may never have happened, a sequel that was never confirmed, businesses that were already struggling, and a bonus she refused to collect, you start to wonder whether this is even a serious legal strategy or just performance art. While this financial chaos was unfolding, there was another drama building around who would testify at trial. Music, and honestly, this section tells you everything about how Blake forms alliances and how fast they can break apart. There is an actress named Isabella Ferreira. She played the younger version of Blake's character in It Ends With Us. Now what did Blake do when she met this young actress? She invited her over for sleepovers. Like, that is what adults do when trying to build trust with younger co-stars, right? Except in this context, it seemed more like recruiting. Blake was trying to get this young actress on her side, probably hoping she would be a witness if the case went to trial. But court documents reveal something interesting. Isabella was exchanging what were described as grateful messages with Justin Baldoni during and after filming.
It's a very big distinction that the jury's going to be told, like, listen, just because we're admitting she complained about X doesn't mean X was actually happening. It just means we shouldn't punish her for saying X.
Those texts actually show that Justin handled himself professionally during intimate scenes. And then there's Colleen Hoover. She wrote the original book. She had been friends with Justin for about 5 years. She trusted him with her story. But when Blake came in and decided she wanted to take over the entire project, Colleen switched sides. She helped Blake try to force Justin out because Justin made a creative choice Colleen didn't agree with. He decided to remove the character from the sequel's storyline. His reason was actually pretty thoughtful. He wanted to show the victim being completely free from her abuser, not forever tied to him through sequel obligations. But Colleen wanted that character included because she could make more money writing and producing sequels with him still involved. She cared more about the profits than the message. So, she backed Blake. But here's the thing about alliances built on convenience. The moment things got difficult, they fell apart. When the backlash came after the press tour disaster, Colleen went totally silent. She completely distanced herself from Blake. It was transactional from the beginning, and the second hardship showed up, Colleen did what transactional people often do. She looked out for herself.
If I were to offer a remedy to the human condition, it would...
Now, we get to probably the most unsettling part of this whole saga, and that's watching what music happens to the people around Blake when the evidence starts surfacing. At first, Ryan Reynolds was fully in. He helped music rewrite the film. He funded the $50 million legal battle. He used his influence and status to try to overpower a smaller director. They stood together as a united front. But then the evidence surfaced. Categate came, music out. The fantasy numbers were exposed, and suddenly Ryan Reynolds was appearing alone at events in Los Angeles. When reporters asked him about the feud, he looked uneasy. He tried to avoid the questions without fully backing his wife's side. That's not a husband who feels sure his wife is right. That's a man starting to realize he may have supported the wrong side. People also noticed a major change on social media. Ryan used to post about Blake constantly, couple photos, sweet comments, the whole package. But that content almost disappeared. He's no longer linking himself to her publicly. He's a businessman worth $350 million. He understands damage control when he sees it, and he knows when to create distance from a sinking ship. But the real signal came from Zach Galifianakis. On his new Netflix show, This Is a Gardening Show, which is honestly a brilliant title for a comedy special, Zach made this joke about Ryan Reynolds.
Here is the first email that Colleen replied with. And it does say, I'm going to skip right to the third paragraph, where it says, I've sold several film options and I realize not all of them get made, and I'm okay with that. One of the film options was not a great experience.
Now, Zach is known for being blunt in his comedy. He doesn't hold back, and this joke was clearly aimed at their weakened music standing in the entertainment industry. And here's why that matters. The journalist Blake Embarrassed back in 2016 actually commented on this moment. She explained that when a comedian of Zach's level uses Netflix to joke about you on a worldwide platform, your influence is basically gone. You're not a Hollywood force anymore. The industry has spoken. The Reynolds Lively machine no longer scares the entertainment world. They were once the type of people who could silence anyone who crossed them. But now they're the ones being buried, and everybody is watching it unfold. So, we've got the financial chaos, the alliances collapsing, and the Hollywood retreat as people begin distancing themselves from this mess. But at the end of all of this, what actually remains? What does the evidence really show? Well, here's the thing. Every document, every video, every deposition, every financial record, they all point toward the same conclusion. Blake Lively isn't furious because she was wronged. She's furious because she got exposed. The story she's been telling the public, the one about being the sweet, funny, misunderstood celebrity targeted by some secret PR campaign, the court evidence completely dismantled that narrative. Justin Baldoni didn't create her reputation. She built it herself, piece by piece over nearly 2 decades. That monkey remark to Leighton Meester, her choice. The Cage's joke about a colleague's imprisoned mother, her choice. Mocking a princess fighting cancer to promote mixer bottles, also her choice. Turning a movie into a personal lifestyle commercial, that was all her. She can't shift blame for any of this. The label isn't some invention by her opponent, Justin. It's simply the truth staring back at her, and the judge saw it too. That's a court system basically saying, yeah, most of this doesn't stand. But what may be the most fascinating part of this whole story is that Ryan Reynolds is pulling away. Her own husband is making space. This is a man who married her, funded the legal battle, rewrote her movie, and even he can see what everyone else sees, a sinking ship he doesn't want to sink with. That's not love failing. That's pure self-preservation. Even marriage has limits, and apparently Blake found them. And let's be honest for a second. When Zach Galifianakis uses his Netflix special to joke about Ryan Reynolds, the whole industry notices. If you made it this far, you're basically a Blake Lively court document expert now. Hit that subscribe button if you want more breakdowns like this, and I'll catch you in the next one.